Welcome students. We are going to discuss today about the GIT, that is Human Digestive Tract. We are going to learn about the physiology, but for that you should be knowing some anatomy beforehand, right? So to begin with, this is our overview. This is we are going to get started with, and we will go further, right? First of all, we'll learn about the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and so on and so forth, about the different organs. To start with, what is this digestive system? How it is helping us in day-to-day life? So the process of reducing the food into the smaller molecule. Why we need to reduce the food into smaller molecule? See, to live a daily life, you need energy, right? To do anything, you need energy. Even you are resting and you are there sleeping, whatever you are doing, even that point, your body uses energy to survive in this environment, right? So for that, you need nutrients, and the nutrients are getting absorbed from the GIT. Now, whatever food we eat, we do not eat those molecules directly, right? And it is impossible to eat those small molecules. So what we did, we eat a food which is a combination of carbohydrate, proteins, fats. But suppose you eat a burger. The burger as a whole, your intestine cannot digest it. It has to break it down first into smaller pieces, which happens in the mouth, right? It goes further, it gets processed. You don't know how the waiter gave you. There must be some bacteria or viruses, right? So what happens is, it goes in the stomach. The stomach secreted acidic juices which will kill those bacteria, viruses, and keep you safe from that, right? Not only that, because of the chewing, what you did, you broke it down into small pieces, right? It goes further into the stomach. The acidic environment act on it. It produces a chyme. It goes further, right? What happens? It became somewhat juicy right now, and it is very easy to absorb. See, whatever it is, the economy is maintained by your body. How? Because it is very difficult to take larger molecule inside the body. So what our body did, it uses an intelligent mechanism. First of all, it broke it down into small pieces, right? And then those small pieces can be getting absorbed easily. So body use this intelligent method in our body, right? So let's for that, to use those processes, we have to broke it down into small molecules, right? And they can be absorbed into the body, right? Now this digestive system consists of two major parts, right? First is the major organs which forms this system, right? To any system to form, we know how it works. We studied that in the general physiology. Cell is the functional unit, right? That will form a group of cells will form tissue, a group of tissue will form the organs, and group of organs are going to form the system. About the any system, so we are talking about the GI system. So in GI system, which organs are there involved in the processes? First is the mouth, that is your oral cavity. Then esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, till the rectum, right? So but these are only not sufficient, you can say, to get the nutrients digested and absorbed. So what do you need? You broke down those pieces, but to further absorb proteins, amino acids, and carbohydrate, what you have to do on the molecular level, these enzymes will work. There are some things which are known as enzymes, right? Those will act on those small particles, and they will further break down these molecules into the basic structure of the food, that is your either the carbohydrate, protein, and fats, right? So now this is very easy to absorb into the blood. Not only to absorb, but it can be stored, right? So it is very economical method, very efficient method, you can say, to absorb the nutrients and to store them, right? So that whenever you need it, suppose you are fasting or starving, still your body will work efficiently. So for these enzymes to secrete, we need some accessory organs, right? What are those? Liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, right? So to start with the mouth. what is the pH in the mouth? That is 7, right? The first part of the digestive system is your mouth. Obviously, you're going to take the food inside with this mouth, right? You are needing two openings, right? They are known as caudal end and the cranial end. So, cranial means towards your brain, right? So, what is towards your brain? That is your mouth. And what is towards the caudal? Caudal means the down end, right? So, that is nothing but your anus, right? So, whatever waste products are there which are not required for the body, it can be toxic to your body, right? They are excreted out with the caudal end, right? So, the cranial end, that is our mouth, it's the entry point of food, right? And the structure in the mouth aids digestion. How? We have teeth, right, which cut, tear and crush and grind the food, right? And with that, to help them, we have some salivary glands, right? So what these salivary glands do, they produce and secrete the saliva into the oral cavity. So why do we need the saliva now when the teeth are doing their work? Remember, to chew the food, you have to moisturize them. You have to add some mucus so that it will get more and more easier. They can flow from one form to another form or one part to another part in the mouth, right? So this is how it looks if you do the transection of the GIT, right? So this is our entry point, which is nothing but the oral cavity. This is our pharynx. In the oral cavity, we are going to have a tongue, right, to move the food whichever way we want, right? Suppose you took a big bite of that burger. So what will happen? You're not able to chew at a time everything, right? So you have to move the food. Whichever you chewed, you will be swallowing that down, right? And whichever are left, the tongue will help to move that food towards the teeth so that you can chew that also, right? And then the esophagus and the stomach, right? Okay, so saliva, as we just discussed, it moisten the food, right, so that it will be very, very easier, right, to chew the food and swallow it. Not only that, but also it contains some enzymes also. And we know the enzymes are doing very, very important work, right? What are those enzymes? The ptyalin and the salivary amylase, right? So what they do is they start digesting them in the oral cavity itself. We told that we learned that it is the entry point of the food. So as soon as the food enters into the mouth, it becoming digested, right? So it is a wonderful phenomena. It does not wait to get down into the stomach and small intestine. The body, as soon as it gets the food, it start digesting it, right? So what these amylase will do, the ptyalin and amylase will break down the food into a smaller pieces. That too, if it contains the carbohydrate, it will break it down into smaller polysaccharide, right? And which form of the carbohydrate? It is the starch. So remember, if the person is having deficiency of this ptyalin or amylase, the polysaccharide cannot be broken down, right? Or the starch cannot be broken down into polysaccharide. So he can have the diarrhea. Why? Because these starch are osmotically active particles, right? What do you mean by that? It hold down the water, right? So if those starch does not get converted to polysaccharide and it does not get absorbed into the blood, what is going to happen? There is no other place where they can be broken down. These are the only enzymes which are secreted in the mouth. They are going to broke down these starch molecules, right? And if the patient is not having the enzymes, so they are going to go down as such and they will hold the water. So what will happen? The bulky stool will form and the patient can land up into the osmotic diarrhea, right? So that is about the function of it. Now we learn about the enzymes, and what was the other function of it? Mechanical digestion. This is the fancy word just for the chewing of the food and breaking it down, right? So mechanical, we are applying pressure, right, and we are breaking it down. So that is nothing but your mechanical digestion. Increase the mouth also increases the surface area for faster chemical digestion. If you see, we have a bigger mouth, right? If you see the diameter of esophagus or any other part of the body, right, till the large intestine, it is very, very small. But the oral cavity diameter, it's a cavity, right? So it is having a bigger diameter. So it is having a larger surface area so that you can chew easily, you can mix the food with the saliva easily, right? And the digestion can start over here. Okay, moving down to the salivary glands. As we know, we have 3 salivary glands, that is your submandibular, right, parotid, and your sublingual gland, right? So parotid will produce a serous and watery secretion, right? What about the submaxillary or maxillary or mandibular? This gland will produce mixed serous and mucus secretion. So what we are doing over here, we are secreting the mucus, right? That is the basic function of the salivary gland. The only difference is the mixed serous and mucus secretion are secreted with the submandibular gland, okay? And the sublingual, why it is known as sublingual though? You can see over here, this is the area where your tongue lies, right? And beneath the tongue, that means sublingual, right? Lingua means the tongue, and that's why you have sublingual gland which are beneath your tongue, right? And what about the submandibular? Submandibular, because you are having a mandible over here, and it is the glands which are beneath the submandible. If you remove the mandible, you are going to get the salivary gland over there, which is known as submandibular gland, right? And it is not only containing the area of the mandible, it is containing the area of sub-area of the maxillary, maxilla also, beneath the maxilla also. So it can be known as submaxillary or submandibular gland. And the parotid gland that we have, it came by the name of facial nerve. It is beneath the facial nerve. So it is known as parotid gland. So what about the sublingual gland? It secretes the saliva, that predominantly the mucus. So if they ask about which is the gland which secretes the serous and mixed secretion, then you have to go with the parotid or submandibular, right? If they ask about which is the gland which only secretes the mucus, so remember, this is your sublingual gland, right? So one more thing about this glands is that they ask the question that maximum secretion is done by. So remember, the bigger the word, more will be the secretion, right? The simple funda, right? So what is that? The mandibular. See how bigger words are there, so many alphabets, right? So what it does, the name is bigger, as its name is there, it secretes more and more saliva. So maximum secretion is done by your submandibular gland, right? So this is the answer of the question that can ask which is the gland which is secreting the maximum amount of saliva, right?